Welcome back to Retail Therapy on the Sunday Scaries podcast feed. My name's Will DeFries. In the studio with me today, my loyal co-host, Barrett Dudley. Barrett, great to see you.
It's good to see you as well. Well, how is everything going?
Oh, we're going. I'm a little upset with the weather in general.
Why is that?
Because I don't know.
Gray?
I don't know in the morning if I'm supposed to put on shorts to go let my dog out. I don't know if I'm supposed to wear a heavy sweater to work. I don't know what I'm supposed to wear because we're in my least favorite part of the year, which is the in-between.
The in-between. It's absolutely the in-between. I think, graciously, we are being bestowed with a wonderful kind of like cool spring weekend, which is nice, perfect little weather to maybe like throw on a fit. Maybe you're going to spend your tax return on a little cute number. Maybe you're going to outfit yourself for, I don't know, some events coming up, something like that. So, we've got some weather that's just kind of like lends itself to to some of the things that we like to talk about here on this podcast.
Have you been doing much shopping lately?
Well, I'm always shopping.
I know. Your tabs stress me out. Like I don't have to worry about Barrett having a wish list item because I know that he's probably got an entire different browser that he's downloaded for his computer that he's just got a million tabs open for.
Yeah. They've come up with a new browser that's exclusively for the tab boys and tab girls out there.
Only tabs?
Only tabs, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's just designed. Actually, no, I'm joking, but seriously, Chrome now has a feature that's like, hey, you want us to like make all these? You have too many tabs open. Can we make a bunch of them that you're not using right now inactive to save on your computation power, your memory and your power and all that? And I, of course, say yes, please do that because these tabs aren't going anywhere.
I don't know how you operate like that. What does your desktop look like these days?
My desktop's not too bad. The only thing that really ends up on the desktop is screenshots.
I end up just saving things to the desktop that I need to use immediately, and then I delete it immediately after, and then move on so that I never have any memory use like going on when it comes to my desktop or anything else.
The hard part about like it adding stuff to the wish list is like I don't know how you feel about this, but like I feel it's got to hit something in particular to be added to that list. I take it very seriously, and it can't just be like just any old thing I have in a shopping cart on Who's It What's It or any other shopping website that I might be on. Like it has to like, I don't know, it has to like say something or be something or like have a bit of a story behind it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. It has to fit the right time of year.
Yeah,
it has to fit the right price point that we're looking for. It has to fit in with the rest of the list, in my opinion, in a little bit, like in some sort of way.
Yeah,
there's a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah.
And there's I have to admit that there's even more pressure on it knowing that people are clicking on it. People are silently judging us, knowing that, we might have people in our lives who might go to this list and put a lot of stock into that sort of thing. It becomes a very stressful situation.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's get some official biz out of the way today. First and foremost, thank you for listening. Secondly, go follow retail.pod on Instagram. That's where we live. Everything gets filtered through the Sunday Scaries account, but the real ones know that the little brother / little sister / just burner account, the bad boy burner account is at retail.pod on Instagram. Go make that happen. You can also watch almost every episode that we've done of Retail Therapy on YouTube at youtube.com/Sunday Scaries podcast. Go check that out. And finally, we also do listener companions at willdefries.substack.com. I put everything there from these episodes, links to products. It could be just, excerpts from columns that we're reading, whatever it may be. That's where you will find everything. And of course, if you want to reach out to us, if you have a question for us, if you have a topic that you think that we need to cover, look no further than at retail.pod on Instagram. Or just, you know how to get a hold of us. It's not hard to find us.
It's
Barrett.
not. It's really not. No, we are out there.
We have an announcement to make. Last episode of Retail Therapy, we made an announcement that we're going to be in New York City. This episode of Retail Therapy, we are going to solidify and confirm that we're going to be somewhere the weekend before we're in New York City, and that will be Louisville, Kentucky. Of course, I'm talking about the first weekend in May, which means one thing and one thing only in Louisville. the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
Barrett, you've never been to the Kentucky Derby.
I have never been to the Kentucky Derby. That is correct. I'm popping my Derby cherry, and well, I'm pretty damn excited about it.
So obviously you know everything that Derby comes with. You know the ins and outs of what to get excited for.
I know okay, well here's the thing. Let's give me a quick recap of your Derby experience, because you're from the Midwest.
Yes.
I feel like you've been closer to it, and if I'm not mistaken, you've been several times.
Yes. So I have been lucky enough to go, and it's embarrassing that I don't know how many times I've gone.
I mean,
it's either 3 or 4.
Okay.
I can't go back into my photo stream to look, as I had a BlackBerry at that time, which made it a little more difficult to get photos off.
Were you just getting off so many BBMs?
Oh, dude, it was crazy. Yeah, service was not that great, but my BBM game was pretty crazy.
I mean, the BBM, that's the thing. It always worked. Right?
Oh yeah.
I
mean, is that what they hung their hat on?
I feel like that was one of the things, is that BBM was almost like a predecessor to WhatsApp or whatever, or there's the various group chat apps. WhatsApp is one of them. GroupMe, I think, is maybe another.
There's Viber.
People like to use it festivals and stuff,
yeah,
because for some reason it always works. I don't know the technology behind it, but I feel like BBM was kind of the first one that.
Makes sense. But I mean, to think about how long ago I must have gone in order to have a BlackBerry.
Pre-iPhone is what
it's been a minute.
Much.
Yeah. And
so
I also did it in the least retail therapy approved way that you can possibly do it, which is dressing like shit and going to the infield, which is an extremely good time.
Okay, so we're gonna get there, but let's just put a pin in both of those things, and I'll come back to the question, because here's what I mostly think about when I think about Derby.
Mm-hmm.
I think about a few things.
Mm-hmm.
One, obviously, the horse race.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? The most exciting 2 minutes in sports, or something they call it.
Something like that. Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's
what I'm calling it.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment.
The fashion, number 2. Obviously, that's a huge thing. The hats, the suits, the pomp and the circumstance of it all. And then 3, the drinks, the mint juleps,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that I'm missing? Am I specifically missing anything that goes on that Mount Rushmore of the Kentucky Derby?
If we could add one thing to actually make it the Mount Rushmore, to have 4 different things: the horse racing, the style, the drinks. I honestly think that number 4, this is kind of a layup because it encompasses a lot of different things, but I just think just general traditions. They just have so many cool traditions there. Singing My Old Kentucky Home before the actual race, just all the roses, pretty much everything is just rooted in tradition from the Derby. And I think that's why it's kind of a fun thing to do. I mean, for me, it was always something that we just wanted to go party. And I think that's what several people like to do.
Right.
But as I started going, I started to understand why people get so excited about it, why people look forward to the kickoff of summer. I mean, the first weekend in May is just known as the time when Derby is run, and that people get very excited for great weather.
Yeah.
Now,
if you sorry, well, yeah, because if you're on YouTube right now watching us, which is it's a really additive experience in my opinion. I've actually found a picture of Will and a couple of his buddies from the Kentucky Derby back in the BBM days. There it is. So I did dress up one year for the Derby, and I did not dress up aggressively, but I dressed up in a way that I was like, you know what? I at least look like I have a good seat. And I just wore something pretty simple for the Derby. I wore a pair of, light slacks, a white shirt, a blue blazer. And I think most of what I was wearing was by Vineyard Vines at that time, who is still partnering with the Derby. That being said, there are so many different directions that you can take things that I almost feel like I don't want to say that I'm on watch, but I have concerns about where I stand currently with my clothing options for Derby. Okay.
This past weekend, I went and bought a suit.
Okay. Well, you've taken care of the biggest thing right then, right there. Isn't it?
I don't know. Because where you really make your money at Derby, outside of the betting, of course, is the accessories that you get to have, your pocket squares. Do I want to try an ascot for a time when I can actually get away with something like that?
You have talked about ascots. You have been talking about ascots.
Is there a hat in play that might need to get worked in? Are there any historical Kentucky Derby fits that I would like to try to replicate? There are all these questions that come into play. There's the footwear aspect of it, Barrett. It's not just, we're not just standing in one place all day. We're going to be out and about. We're going to be men about town at this thing.
Well, okay. See, and you're kind of doing the thing that people have been doing to me when I've told them that I have the opportunity and that to go and that I will be attending the Kentucky Derby. That's the reaction is like, oh shit, this is big for you. You must be wringing your hands about what you're going to wear, about what
Stressful.
like are you stressing out about this? And like up until literally today, it's like kind of not really, like, because I already have the suit that I know that I will wear.
Mhm.
And beyond that, I don't know. I know a piece of it is how over the years, we just did a little experience where we both kind of like jotted down a few quick notes about our own personal style
One of the
for
hardest things you can do.
for a shopping trip that we're going on. And
Yes.
like, you kind of mentioned that one of your baselines is kind of prep. And I'm kind of on the opposite of that. Like the thing that I have kind of neglected the most out of, my different style bars is like that part of kind of how I used to dress. And so I feel out of touch with things like, kind of those dandier suiting accessories like tie bars and pocket squares and ties and just like and all of the type of stuff that you can kind of do. So like honestly, like I was really going simple with it and just thinking, like maybe I'd get a new tie, maybe I won't. I've got a bunch that I could probably choose from.
Mhm.
Maybe I'd get a new shirt, but maybe I won't. I've got a nice crisp white dress shirt. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, nothing.
You know?
Nothing.
And so I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I know I could get really, you can kind of go whichever direction, this is what you kind of just said, right? Like there are a ton of options you can go with. And right now I'm leaning towards going, kind of keep it simple, stupid. But, the accessories definitely, it's fun. You mentioned hats. People have been asking me about hats. The only, I can think of like Tom Brady has pulled off some hats, although he kind of looks like he's about to be in a barbershop quartet here.
He looks like he's about to break into song at any moment. And so that's the thing. That's the stress of this.
Like, so I wasn't thinking I was going to eschew the hat. He also did he looked like a real gangster one year with his
Yeah,
with
that's
his
a little
headwear
more
choice.
racketeering charges to me.
He just hit that Rico case.
Yeah, and it's almost like paralysis by analysis because there are so many different ways that you can go that like I don't know where I'm going to land at this point.
Damn, Tom always goes hat, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't realize how into hats Tom Brady was at the Kentucky Derby. Good for him.
Yeah, beautiful black and white gingham suit that he wore this one year.
I actually kind of like this from him.
Yeah, this might be my favorite out of all three that I've pulled up. So we don't have that much time left.
We don't. We're truly in the grind time of figuring this out.
I guess maybe maybe this is the week where I got to pull trig and at least bring in some things. You know what I mean? At least try it. Bring them in, try them on, see if they work. If they don't, I'll send them back.
I have concerns there might be some overnight
shipping charges
that are on my credit card next month. We'll see though.
Are you going to are you pocketing? Are you keeping it close to the vest? Are you saving the big reveal of the suit?
No, I can get out ahead of this, and I'm mainly doing this just in case anyone has any advice here because I'm kind of at a crossroads. The suit that I got is considered a light brown. I wouldn't say it's a traditional light brown. Like when you think light brown, you're thinking like a tan almost. This is like not white, but just like it's kind of close
to white.
It's like almost a version. It's like a very light brown.
Okay.
And so I can wear a white shirt underneath it. I'm not really worried about that. It doesn't look like a white suit. I don't look like I'm about to pile into a Hummer limo for prom with like a Yankees hat on.
Is it double-breasted?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not. This is a suit that I bought for numerous occasions. And Derby being the number one, but with the long-term play of being like, you know what? I have my dark green suit that I wear to everything. I need a lighter suit that I can wear to more summery events.
Is
it
this guy?
It is not.
Okay.
It is close to that, but a little bit lighter and a little more linen.
Okay.
And so I don't really know what to do. There's a lot of pastel colors that people wear to Derby, and pastel is something that I've kind of sworn off.
Right.
I'm not opposed to other people doing it, especially in a situation like Derby. But for me, it's just something that I've kind of told myself I can't do anymore.
I'm right there with you. Like the less and this is something that I just I've got a wedding next year coming up now. Like, and I can't shake this kind of itch to like buck norms a little bit, and like.
But I think now's the time.
Part of that is just kind of like I think a kind of always rebellious streak against like authority that I have. But so but that the pastels, the super prep, anything that could be considered frat, it's off the table.
I don't want to be mistaken for like one of the guys in the fraternity that's in like a box near us or something. It's like, oh, he's with those guys, and no.
Or if they are mistaking you for one of those, just because we're so fresh faced and so young,
yeah, it's because our facial routines have really been hitting.
They would say, man, those guys must be the age of other fraternity guys, but they're so well and sharply dressed.
Yeah, those guys are using a lot of Kiehl's, and they must have a good tailor.
Did they go get some Brotox before this?
Yeah. Did these guys get some filler? And so it's a light suit, and and I think that kind of lends itself as being a blank canvas of sorts for me, and I can kind of just decorate around it.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that we will not be in the infield.
Correct. So
which I think is beneficial for the safety and the well-being of said light-colored suit.
I think we're in good standing on that front. Yeah. So our overall itinerary will be as follows. So if you're in Louisville, if you're around, we would love to see you. Come say hi. We arrive Friday, and we're going to bop around to a couple distilleries on Friday. We're going to have dinner on Friday evening. We might even go to a gala on Friday evening.
A gala?
I haven't told you about this, but we have some opportunities out there.
All right.
We have some opportunities.
Now I'm stressed. You tell me I got a gala to go to. Now that I'm worried about what I'm wearing.
I understand. I get it.
Is that weird that I'm not stressed about my derby fit, but like you're telling me I'm going to a Friday evening
a little
gala
bit because
the night before?
If we're going to like a gala, like that means you could probably just go like, black tie.
Jeez,
that's a layup.
Thank goodness that Laura got me the bag off of our Christmas wish list that Sally put on there.
There you go.
With the from Stitch Golf with the that wraps around with this because you're telling me now I might be carrying 2 suits with me.
Yeah, it could be a war out there trying to pile that garment bag into the overhead compartment. We'll see. Maybe if the person helping us out on the plane, maybe if they're willing, they will hang it up for us with the pilot's jackets and stuff.
Yeah, I heard Spirit loves to do stuff like that.
They do. Yeah. They really enjoy that. And so from there, we don't really have any plans on Saturday other than going to the Derby, and we'll be waking up. We'll be hanging out all day. I think we're going to be at the Home Stretch Club, and it should be an absolute blast. If you guys do want to follow along, make sure to go watch on May 6th on NBC. I think we should just do everything in our power to try to get on television. Like if we see Tom Brady, I think we just get behind him the entire time.
Do you think that if I go, with my hair in its current state, if I wear like some purple tinted lenses, do you think I could be mistaken for Bob Baffert?
To see, maybe. Maybe that's the move.
Just crept on the grounds despite my senior band.
Is that Bob Baffert's? Is that his like grandson over here with all these other fraternity guys looking fresh face? Well, are you excited, Barrett? Are you excited overall?
I'm very, very excited. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous about the how should I phrase this? Just the regimen. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. It can get ahead of you.
The schedule of activities.
It can get ahead of you real quick at the
pacing
Derby.
is going to be important. Just you can't just be handing me mint julep after mint julep. Do you know what I mean?
Derby is one of those events where like there's so much going on. There's so many drinks floating around that like sometimes you just got to accept a drink and then set it down later without taking a sip just to endure.
We're going to have a quick turnaround, you and I.
Yes.
So
there's no more palpable and enjoyable excitement than in the moments just before the horses start running. Like there is truly nothing. The only thing that I've ever compared in terms of like an endorphin rush in my entire life was when my son was born. That's the only thing that like I know surpassed it. Anything else hasn't really come close to any time that I've been there for Derby.
Yeah, I think about like any other race, right? You kind of like a car race, like the engine start up, you kind of get that adrenaline rush, but then it subsides because these things take a while.
Yeah.
Here it's like, yes, and I looked it up here. It is dubbed the greatest 2 minutes in sports. Mm-hmm. Because you get all that, I can just imagine that all bubbles up inside of you, and then it's just it's
great
that you get the 2 minute adrenaline rush, and you ride the high.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Your long awaited return.
I know it's been too long. I need to go back to my old Kentucky home.
That's right.
Before we get into the rest of this episode, we'll hear from our friends over at Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. Stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything, your products, the content you create, even your time. I've used Squarespace for almost 10 years now. That should tell you everything you need to know about it. I did not know how to build a website before I used Squarespace, and luckily for me, I barely even had to learn because they make it so simple and so easy. I was trying to use it for blogging purposes, but I also wanted the ability to sell things on the website, to contact my customers, to just do anything that I could do through a website all in one place. And luckily for me, Squarespace was that exact place. They made it so easy for me to connect with people, for me to get my creative itch and just my creativity in general out to the world. And they made it so easy to have everything just all in one place. I will ride for Squarespace for pretty much all time. And so I think you should too. I think everybody should. Head over to squarespace.com/scaries for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code SCARIES to save 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that is squarespace.com/scaries for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code SCARIES to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Barrett, I was having a conversation the other day. Okay. We have childcare. I love her to death. And she's someone who I talk to every single day. Not every single day. 3 to 5 days a week. For Christmas this past year, we wanted to get her something that was cool, that was popular. And so what we did was that we got her a Lululemon fanny pack. You see them all over the place.
It's hot right now. It's a hot item, isn't it? Am I mistaken here?
No, you're absolutely correct. Like at one point it was hard to even buy online from Lululemon, which should really never be the case for anything Lululemon that's that popular.
Right.
And so we got her that, and I looked at it and I said, man, sometimes I wish I could have one of those too. And she said, well, why don't you? I said, well, because I'm really weird about the certain things that I carry and the things that I carry stuff in. And I started thinking more and more about this. And then Blackbird Spyplane, noted Substack newsletter, asked the question, can grown men wear backpacks? And this started to have this effect on me where I couldn't stop thinking about all these different things that I'm hesitant to use as a man to carry stuff around and how much stuff I would like to carry. People always talk about your everyday carry. People talk about, whatever. And it begs the question, Barrett, like, where do we stand? What looks like you're an adult and what looks like you're a little kid? What looks like you're like a college kid going to a music festival versus what looks like you're a dude just trying to go to a restaurant and eat lunch?
Yeah. It's a it's a tough question, and we'll link here to the Blackbird Spyplane column that he wrote. It's notable first and foremost, I think that we talked just a little while ago about another Blackbird Spyplane declaration that was also very inflammatory.
Which one was this one?
That was the double rider style leather moto jacket is deceased, dead forever, never will look good again, etc. Right? So like this
tread lightly.
I honestly feel like this is written more genuinely, but it's still like a flaming hot take. And it's, I think that becomes quite obvious because at the end, there are two updates.
Two, not just one.
Like editors' addendums to this column, basically, not with like a mea culpa necessarily, but a couple of concessions, right?
Yes.
And so, just to dive in a little bit, I do think that like overall, the statement that wearing a backpack every day, like to your job, can, and I'm going to pull the quote here, can have a little bit of like little Timmy going to middle school vibe. I understand that. I can see that a backpack as your everyday carry for work, you're walking into your cubicle office in your business casual and you've got your backpack on, that's going to look a little college student walking into the lecture hall.
Yeah, that's
right?
fair. That's fair.
So I think that's the fairest statement about backpacks as everyday carries. I'll immediately come back and kind of counter that with like, when you're traveling, like, I don't think there's any substitute for a backpack.
So that's another thing is something I wasn't taking into account when we first introed this was like the travel portion of it. The time that you will pretty much almost always see me with a backpack is while I'm traveling. Even then, sometimes I pull it out and I'm like, is there another bag I could use? But there's nothing more convenient than a backpack when you're traveling. Like if you try to replace it with a duffel, carrying that duffel is not as enjoyable. It's a
not
little
as
more difficult.
It's not as enjoyable. You know, I've tried things like a zip top weekender bag,
Hmm.
but they get really heavy and then it's weighing down on your shoulder, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's really like, having the two straps basically to even out the weight is huge.
And like even when we went to Europe last year, backpack stuck with me the entire time, and it treated me so well. But the one time I never even consider bringing a backpack around, and I haven't done this, is to work. And I don't really know why. I don't really know why I have an aversion to it. I like a tote bag. I like doing a tote. I don't want to bring a tote with me when I'm going around town. If I'm walking and running errands, I don't really want to carry a tote with my stuff in it. It seems like overkill.
yeah.
But then I feel like having the kind of strap bag from like Lulu or something just kind of makes me look like I'm clinging to a trend that I'm too old to be clinging to. And maybe that's just a personal identity issue that I'm having.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we don't see a lot of like the kind of that part of what you're describing where you're out, you're running errands, you're moving around a lot, you're here, you're there, and you want like, pockets maybe just aren't enough. Like the kind of the sling bag, across the shoulder, the fanny pack that you
Mhm.
can wear as like a chest rig, or I'm not going to wear it around my waist personally, but you could.
I'm afraid if I ever did wear it around my waist, there would be like a view of myself that I'd see in a
Yeah,
passing mirror where I'd be like, "Oh no,
yeah, yeah,
Will, you look terrible."
yeah. It's a little too like black socks and stocks,
Yeah.
old tourist with your.
I just worry it's going to cling to the wrong parts of my torso.
So, but I think that there are a plethora of that type of kind of sling bag that anybody should wear confidently, especially in those particular instances. Now, we just have them fewer and further between, and this is kind of this is a theme that we kind of constantly come back to on this podcast. But like, it's just different in a driving city like Austin or any of the ones in Texas versus somewhere where you are never in your car and you're constantly on public transportation or walking like New York. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just way more practical. It makes way more sense. But then in that exact instance, like kind of so does a backpack, right?
Yeah.
Like because I mentioned backpacks for traveling, but also just as like a day pack. Let's say you're traveling and then you are in New York and you're walking around all day long and you want some stuff with you. Like a backpack probably makes more sense than some weird like messenger or something that you don't have as good of a grip on, or like is going to get awkwardly heavy or like hurt your shoulder in a weird way.
It's almost
And
like we need like a pin or something that you can put on your backpack that's like, "Hey, I'm not doing this every day. Just this is just a this is j- I just this is, I needed to today."
and I just like off the top of my head, like I pulled up some of like the Filson like roll top packs,
Mhm.
like this type of thing. It
Mhm.
like has very much of like a military influence and feels outdoorsy, feels a very hunting forward. Uh, you know, to quickly bring up Japan again, but like I left Japan with a backpack from Snow Peak. This one, which is super basic and functional, but its intended use for me is as like a travel backpack.
See, I like
Uh,
that. And I mean, and I think a lot of people when they hear backpack, they go back to middle school. They go back to like their crappy backpack, their
yeah,
JanSport
the
that they had,
JanSport.
whatever. That makes them look like a little kid. And I think the realization here is that backpacks don't have to look little kid. Like
Yeah,
there are so many out there that are good looking, that are still utilitarian driven,
right.
but they just aren't, super branded or made for a little kid to beat the hell out of for an
Yeah.
entire school year.
Yeah, and even I'll come back to my initial like blanket statement. If you get something like that Filson roll top, or even something even more elevated, even more like kind of like leather and old school looking, and that's what you want to carry is like your business casual everyday work bag, like you're going to be fine.
Mhm.
I don't think there's too much of a problem with carrying that as an everyday. But for us, Texas, not really a walking city all that often. Like I'm sticking with a tote for now,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I think that gets the job done in a slightly cooler fashion.
I think we just talked that out very well. I think I've changed my perception a little bit on it. I think I need to be a little less hard on backpacks in general, and I think I need to start understanding that hey, sometimes you just need to have everything on you all at once in a very, very organized manner.
And can I expect to see you in New York City walking down the street in this lovely Lululemon everywhere belt bag number?
I don't think so. I think
No.
the better option would be that I'm going to end up giving my wallet to my wife, who will then put it in her Lululemon belt bag, and then she'll give me my credit card and I need to pay for something outside of there.
Okay.
I think that's how I'm going to operate.
You don't think that wallet will go in a pocket?
Of mine?
Yeah.
It just depends. It's hard to say, but I usually beg her when we're out and about to do that. But now I've realized that I just always end up forgetting my stuff in there. So I either don't have a wallet when I go to work or I don't have keys when I go to work, which is not ideal.
That's a danger.
Yeah. I think we need to talk about something that I've really been seeing everywhere lately. Or I guess one brand that I've been seeing everywhere collaborating with numerous ones, which is Beams.
Beams.
Can you explain for anyone at home? Can you just give a brief overview of Beams? Just in general?
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit on last podcast. We're talking Japan again here, but Beams is a Japanese multi-brand retailer with its own brand as well called Beams, and it was one of the shops that one of the Beams shops that I went into. They have many in Tokyo and across the country in Japan, but particularly one of the ones that I went into in Shibuya was like awesome shop. Tons of wood everywhere. It felt very outdoorsy, but very fashion forward. They were burning incredible incense. They had.
It's amazing what some incense can do in a retail establishment in order to get you in the mood.
Yes. They had a record player out. They had like a little side section that like had like that was like totally cordoned off and had like some marble tiling, and it was like their t-shirt and streetwear section. Mm-hmm. Big cases full of cool sunglasses, an amazing shoe selection. If you pull up their like Japan web store, you'll find cool stuff like little like grills, like little camping grills and stuff like this. So there's a ton of like just really kind of functional stuff that they carry as well.
Yeah.
And then, with their presence as like this kind of like cool shop and brand in Japan, they get the opportunity to do a lot of collaborations. The first one that we have pulled up here is the LL Bean collaboration. And then there's another one that I'm quite excited about. It's, I believe, the third in a series.
I was going to say, when I saw the Arc'teryx stuff, sorry, I just interrupted you and said the words Arc'teryx. I was like, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
This has happened before. And I guess people probably think that when they see like ALD, New Balance, or things like that too.
Yep.
What's the significance of them doing something with a company like LL Bean?
I think that they and you can say this for a lot of these kind of like Japanese brands that you don't get to see too often. It's notable now that Beams has crossed the pond, in a pretty significant way. So you can find their stuff at, we constantly mention Canoe Club. That's a shop that carries them. And I've even started to see their stuff on like Essence. I think maybe Nordstrom even as well. So you can kind of find their stuff. But when they collaborate with a brand, it just like lends that, you're going to get something that has that like Japanese level of taste.
Yeah.
And so that people were pretty geeked up about like Todd Snyder's collaboration with LL Bean the last couple of years. And I think it's kind of the same thing here. Your LL Bean, a really awesome, fun heritage brand that a lot of people like, but is kind of, feels maybe like a little dated or less fashion forward. They do these collaborations with Todd Snyder or Beams, and suddenly like everything fits a little better and has like a little bit more, design detail, and just like feels a little bit more fashion forward. And like suddenly you're just kind of getting the best of both worlds.
There's such a nostalgia about collaborating with a company like LL Bean, because at the end of the day, you're not collaborating with them for like some piece of design that they currently, or like some product that they currently have that like everyone's obsessed with. Like, you're doing it because it's LL Bean and because they do have that iconic nostalgia to them. And there's just like, you see it in the collaboration that they did with Beams here, is that like, yeah, they're just putting that logo front and center. They are making sure that is something that that they hang their head on for this. I mean, it's just so, it makes me want to own it, because it makes me feel like I would be like young again. I don't know. There's something about LL Bean that just makes me go back in time mentally all the time. And that's probably not what they want to hear based on a collaboration like this.
I think I think you're absolutely right. I think nostalgia always plays a part in, kind of bringing, heritage brands back to the forefront. And typically, like, I think what happens here, and maybe it's kind of a chicken and an egg scenario for this one especially, but like, you know, LL Bean started putting themselves out there a little bit. They, you hear about like the Todd Snyder thing. You go to Instagram. There's the boat and tote page,
Mm-hmm.
and so like these things are kind of happening at the same time
Yeah.
where they do have product that is cool without a collaboration at the moment.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
found themselves in the right place at the right time. Their boat and totes are huge. Everybody like
That's true. Maybe I undersold them a little bit.
kind of the some trendsetters, some tastemakers are like carrying the boat and totes. Suddenly they have a little bit more cachet as well, and then you get more opportunities to do these types of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So with Arc'teryx, it's really like basically I'd say it's a lighter lift than the Beams one,
Mm-hmm.
because it's basically Beams gets to do like some color blocking that Arc'teryx would never do,
Yeah.
but it's awesome.
How does
it looks really, really good?
If you had to guess, like from start to finish, Beams approaches Arc'teryx, and they're like, "Hey, well, like, is that the kind of thing where like who approaches who? Who is more likely to approach who in these situations?" This is something I've never really known about, and something I've always just kind of wondered, because a collaboration has to start with an idea from somewhere, from somebody.
That's a really good question. I think it can go both ways. I think that typically, man, that's hard, because like I'm thinking about some other collaborations.
When I think of LL Bean, I'm like, they probably want to get elevated by Beams.
Typically, I think,
but you'd have to have someone with it,
yeah,
in order to make that call,
right,
and see it through.
The Arc'teryx LL Beam, the Arc'teryx Beams one is much more difficult to suss out, right? Because like both brands are so cool right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like who's more benefited?
So
by
who
this?
has like the leverage there, right? Yeah, with LL Bean, like but at the same time, like I could totally see Beams being like, you know what brand we're really feeling right now that has awesome heritage and like old school archive stuff that we'd love to rework in our own, frame of mind and with our own vision, like LL Bean. Like let's call them up. Their Todd Snyder shit was awesome. We want that too.
If somebody asked, like right now, like Barrett, like you can collaborate with any company in the world, like I guarantee that your brain doesn't go to a company like LL Bean, the heritage brands that you kind of did a nod to. I guarantee that both of our brains go to much more current stuff now.
Yeah.
But then I think eventually, like it'd be like, hold on, it could be really fun to do something like that.
Right.
Like I mean, Patagonia is not in the same breath, but like it's just kind of that thing. Like it'd be fun to do something with like a brand that doesn't traditionally do those kind of collaborations or have those products out there. Yeah. I am interested. They do have my attention.
Well, you'll everybody and you included should just keep your eye kind of posted for Beams, because it's much more shoppable US now, and like I think it's really like it's good looking stuff, but it's not typically all that difficult to wear. Really, like it makes sense. It's approachable. Here's a better photo of the new Boro colorway of the Beams Arc'teryx color block jacket, which I'm pretty keen on.
Yeah, I like it too.
I always like black and blue, kind of like black and blue together.
I've always liked it too. I've always been. Do you remember? I don't even know if they're still around. There was a company called. Oh man, I'm gonna blank on this. It's been forever. They won a CFDA. Public school.
Yeah, public school.
Are they still around?
So I'm not sure. In some capacity, I think they are, but they really like they kind of I fell off. Sounds like super negative, but they kind of disappeared.
Like when they first came out, I remember really liking them because they were pairing a lot of dark blues with a lot of black, and I thought it was kind of nice looking and cool looking, and I started doing it a little bit more, and that's when I stopped caring about pairing those two colors together in general. Yeah, I haven't thought about them in forever now, but like they've always kind of been the reason that I enjoy doing that.
Totally. They had some awesome like flannels that were like blue and black check and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were big on that color combo.
They kind of had like the same thing as Norse Projects, when it was like they had just cool colors with cool fabrics and cool whatever. But like I've been having trouble wearing blue lately. Is that weird?
That is pretty weird.
I usually that used to be like my go-to, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll get like a dark blue or something like that. And
Yeah.
I've just been having a little more trouble with it, but I think it's also because I'm wearing a lot more like dark green and black.
Yeah.
That working in the blue is not as natural as it used to be because it's almost been replaced with like green.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with it too. I do feel, and this continues to happen. It's like green has definitely been hot for a while, but right now more than ever, it's like everything is green.
Everything.
And if something comes in green, it's like people want the green.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just that. And I actually do kind of know what you're saying. Cause like, I do feel like 5 years ago, given color options in, let's say, a hoodie, for example, right? Like navy probably would have been like my number one, if not number two choice.
Yeah.
And now I look at that navy hoodie and I'm like, oh, but what would I wear that with?
Yeah.
Cause like sometimes navy and denim can look a little too like weirdly like blues that maybe don't go together very well.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. Like
it's just been a little more difficult.
I do kind of know what you're saying.
Yeah, I find myself having to like I have like one pair of pants that I'll wear blue stuff with, or like I just worry more about it. I just worry that if I buy something that's a good price that's blue, that I'm never going to wear it. I have a couple things and I'm like, I need to start wearing these things more.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know why I thought of that when I saw the color blocking on the Arc'teryx stuff.
Yeah, that is, I think because that's why the combo kind of works, right? Because like you get the black with the blue, and then suddenly it feels like it's more versatile almost.
And I would love to pair that with like a pair of just black snow pants in order to go skiing. I would love to do that.
Yeah,
but most people are probably going to pair that with
your shell.
Most people are just going to pair it with some double knee pants that they're going to wear to get a coffee that day.
A coffee, yeah.
You love to see that.
I do. I sure do. Yeah.
Before we get to the latter half of today's episode, let's hear from our friends over at Early Bird. If you're not familiar with Early Bird, they're a recreational hemp product that contain around 2.5 milligrams of natural THC and around 12.5 milligrams of CBD in each gummy. These are formulated for fun and to make you feel good. And honestly, people use these for a lot of different things. Some people use them to relax. Some people use them to pregame before going out, and some people just like a little buzz before they go swimming at Barton Springs here in Austin, Texas, where Early Bird is based out of. But what it comes down to is that they've really formulated Early Birds with a microdose of THC to make you feel great without getting lit. I've recommended these to so many people. I have given sample packs to so many people, and every single person comes back and says, I had to go order more. If you're trying to go order more for yourself, fear not. Use promo code WICKS, WICKS, yes, just like the candle. Use promo code WICKS for 20% off everything at earlybirdcbd.com. Again, that's promo code WICKS for 20% off everything. It is a one-use code, so please, please, please make sure to load up that cart before you do anything. Barrett, we have a little note here today. Let's do a little choose your own adventure. Maybe we could just knock both of these out at once.
Okay.
Which way would you rather go, Brotox or Coachella?
I think I want to start with Coachella.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to just start riffing?
I think you should start riffing.
Okay.
I don't have like super strong Coachella takes, other than I never really feel like going, but I do like watching it from afar.
Yeah. Okay. So, because I think I'll have probably a Coachella take that maybe not many people share with me. Mm-hmm. The extreme commodification of it. The fact that every single celebrity and every single influencer is now there every single year, and it is like a massive, like, it is a thing on the calendar that must be participated in. The fact that that festival, and essentially that festival alone, coined the term festival season, which is now like an actual, like, it's almost usurped cruise in the fashion industry, is like brands need to have festival wear. Mm-hmm. All of that, you ball that all up, you put it, it's kind of gross and disgusting. I've never wanted to go to Coachella more.
I've never felt like going. I will say, from an entertainment standpoint,
I just want to make sure you heard that I said I've never wanted to go more.
Oh, more.
More.
Why do you want to go more?
Yeah, like all of it, it just is just working on me. Like they have tapped in so hard to like my core FOMO bone. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel like you're actually missing out? Like,
no,
I don't feel like I'm missing out, because I feel like it's so heavily covered that I know the ins and outs of everything that's going on there. The one thing that I actually think is like pretty impressive is that it seems as though Coachella has a pretty good layout for everything. And this is from someone who's never been, so I could be completely wrong. But it seems as though they have a layout that's like almost conducive to spreading out a little bit more, or
Yeah.
not being like annoyed that there's just a million people there. But that's just from me watching the YouTube live streams of performances and stuff.
I think a couple things are happening for me. One is that it feels now basically like Burning Man Jr.
Mhm.
And as badly as I want to go to Burning Man, if I'm honest with myself, it's probably never happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If you can't go to Burning Man, Coachella's a pretty
And
good.
so Coachella feels like that kind of second, that kind of like, well, if I can't do that, at least there's Coachella. But to your point, I don't, it's weird because I know that it's probably like an absolute headache and nightmare to be out there. Apparently like lodging is super difficult.
You got to get in with Revolve.
And you basically like, you're watching it play out with people that are paid to go, with people that are given their accommodations and then have budgets for the clothing and like all this stuff and like get access passes and like all this. And you're not going to have that. You're going to go and you're going to fight to stay in some shitty place. And then getting over to the grounds is going to be a bitch. And then like, the paps aren't going to be taking your photo, are they? No, they're going to be zooming in on Leo and Irina Shayk. So it's like, it's pretty easy to talk myself out of going, but the way that it's covered, the way that it's like, it's such, I mean, it's just like, give me a ballpark. Like, how many times bigger do you think it is just from like a people know about it scale than any other festival? Like 10x?
It's a lot. It's a lot. Like, I know that like we think of ACL as being a pretty big deal.
It doesn't even hold a candle. Like it's a
outside of
tiny
Austin,
speck
like
compared to
outside of
Coachella.
Austin, I don't think anyone truly cares what's going on at ACL that weekend. Whereas I'm actually interested in what happened at Coachella.
Right.
But things happen at Coachella. Like big things happen at Coachella.
Yeah, like Frank Ocean pisses off his entire fan base.
What was he doing? What is that move? Like, dude, but like, even just like, I mean, I know we don't like to talk about, we struggle to talk about him these days, but like, I mean, Kanye doing like Sunday service at Coachella, you're not getting that at like other places,
Right.
Yeah. When they first did the hologram at Coachella, like it's the things like that kind of separate it and almost make it into like the festival that leads other festivals. And maybe that's why I should look at it with a little more forgiveness than I do.
Yeah.
I think the Bachelor alum have really ruined the
Totally.
aura of it
I
for
mean,
me.
yeah, that doesn't necessarily help. I also wish that like, I just wish I had gone earlier. Like
Mhm.
I wish I had it under my belt so I could be like, yep, been there, done that. And then I'd have some context for the,
People I
400
trust and people that I like
400 people
go to
on my
Coachella
Instagram
and have
feed.
gone to Coachella. And that should be enough to make me think like, Will, don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
Don't be down on Coachella.
Do you know, apparently, I don't know if this has changed, but like you have to like be in specific areas to drink?
I don't know.
Like out on the grounds, like watching watching a show, like you cannot just be like walking around with a beer.
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure there's like beer halls and beer tents and you have to stay there to
Interesting.
imbibe.
I know that occurs in, overseas places.
Yeah.
Like soccer matches, you can't have beers at your seats, or like when they did the Ryder Cup a few years ago over there I think it was in Edinburgh. I had some friends that went over and like, yeah, there was like a drinking area. It was like,
Really?
cool, I guess we're
Okay.
going to go here and crush a few beers and then
Yeah.
go back out on the course.
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm just thinking about like watching the RBC this past weekend and like there were so many screams and like backswings this weekend that I was like, oh, maybe it's a good idea. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I think the one other thing I'll add, just to kind of put a Dumois style bow on top of it, is that like if you're into celebrity spotting, if you are into pop culture in that way, is there a better place to like celeb spot than Coachella? Like a guaranteed way, like to you want to see some celebs, just go to Coachella.
Yeah.
Doesn't it kind of feel that way?
Yeah, kind of.
Maybe it's way.
Is it the
bigger
West
than
Coast
I'm
Met
even
Gala?
thinking. Kinda, yeah.
It's like the pregame for the Met Gala. You just go there and do that.
A little bit.
Jenners are invited, or they at least can go buy a ticket for themselves.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're invited to Chella.
I don't have anything else on Coachella. I have been watching the live streams a little bit to catch a little bit of the performances, but like it's just not something that is like, it's not top of mind for me currently. But I'm also 36. I'm moving out of my festy phase.
Who interested you enough to want to try to tune in for a live stream?
Blink-182.
Okay.
And that's just the nostalgia of it. Just to know. Do they sound good? Are they going to be fun? I do like to see a headliner every once in a while just to see like how like I think if you're a headliner for a music festival and you have that you wield that type of power, I think that like there's an opportunity to do something cool, and I think it's always cool to see what those people decide to do.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I mean, and I know y'all talked about this a little bit on Circling Back, I think, about how like Taylor Swift she is just too big for something like ACL.
hmm
Coachella is the one festival that could get Taylor Swift.
probably.
Coachella is the one festival
They
that
get
could
the big
get
ones.
Beyonce.
They get the big ones. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
No, but, with Lollapalooza is not getting those acts. We're not getting those acts. Bonnaroo's not getting them.
hmm
So it's like,
It's true. It's true.
got a lot of cachet, Coachella. So
Maybe we'll do Coachella next year after Derby. We'll get Derby done this year, then we'll go to Coachella next year. We'll be just fine.
that'd be great.
I think I would like to get Brotox before
But
one of these because I think I'm going to be feeling pretty weathered by the time we actually make it to Coachella.
I was going to say the same thing. If we do get the opportunity to go to Coachella, it won't be this year, which means that we'll be 1 year older, and at that point, it might be time for us to start, filling our faces with injectables.
Well, I've seen this a few different places, but as it turns out, Botox is getting very, very popular with dudes, and they're calling it Brotox. It says, this
Naturally.
is via PR Week. The trend is perhaps unsurprising given Gen Z and millennials' tendencies to focus on self-care, glow-ups, and self-improvement. The Brotox boom is making waves among both young and old men, and TikTok is the home to various interactions of it. It says that cosmetic surgery and non-surgical aesthetic procedures among men rose 29% between 2000 and 2018, which I actually am surprised it didn't go up more. And in 2020 alone, more than 265,000 men got Botox procedures to target wrinkles in their face. I've never been averse to trying something that will get some wrinkles away, but that's really only been in the last like year or so. And you hear about so many different people, and like just I go to the dermatologist regularly, so you see things all the time. Like I feel like Botox has almost gotten to the point where like it's not as like funny of a thing that dudes would be getting it as it would be like 3 years ago. I feel like so many people are getting it these days.
Yeah,
I have not ever dabbled in any of this, despite maybe needing to once in a while.
Yeah, I'm similar. I've never done any of these like plastics or injectables or non-surgical things beyond a topical or a cream or something like that. So it's I'm interested about it. I'm scrolling through this PR Week article, and honestly, like the Botox, I've thought about it. This is called something,
Dude,
but
same thing.
it's a little wrinkle, a vertical line, basically right in between my eyebrows.
It's from going like this at a computer every day. Like that's what it has to be from.
I've talked to my derm about that. Like, and yeah, a couple of units of Botox probably fill that right out, basically. It's just like, it's you got to decide what you want to spend your money on and what can wait or what you can skip. The stuff like the crow's feet that I'm seeing here. Yeah, I could see maybe, but I also don't think that crow's feet like necessarily like look bad on people.
I see. I have never thought that wrinkles actively make someone look worse. Like it's just not. It might be a feature I notice. Like, oh, they might look a little older, but it's never something I'm like, oh, they looked like shit. You see the wrinkles they had on their face? Like it's not something I've been conditioned to think about.
Yeah.
Or judge people on, I guess, because it's such a natural thing.
And I mean, we're obviously like I think we're lucky, right? Because society does not put nearly as much pressure on us
we're extremely
for
lucky.
wrinkles and facial stuff as they do on women. So like, we are conditioned to be like, yeah, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, these guys are aging like fine wine. And they're probably getting things like Botox, but
Definitely.
but like that maturation of like a men's face is like far more acceptable by current beauty standards, basically. But it's kind of, so it's interesting that like a younger generation is almost like doing away with something that sort of benefits them in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's just kind of like, hey, we're shifting the paradigm a little bit. Like, we don't want these things. They don't look that good. I don't know. The one thing that really, really caught my eye on this list that I did find quite interesting and kind of fascinating is that people are able to use fillers now that to basically like rather than a rhinoplasty. And the results are nothing short of extremely impressive based on some of these TikToks. Where's that one that
See,
that I
like
was watching.
this is the point where like I start to get lost. I'm like, I don't fully understand how all this is possible, and it worries me that like someone's nose is going to collapse like a year later, and they're going to have to get it redone because they put so much filler into their nose or something.
Well, that I mean, I don't know if it goes that far, but that I'm positive is like a drawback is that
Yeah.
if you get a filler nose job, you are going to have to go get that nose job redone again and again.
What percent of the 265,000 men that had this done were forced to go by their significant other at some point? I think it's got to be higher than, than what I originally thought.
I don't know. I feel like it's something that I feel like if you've landed yourself a significant other, I almost feel like you're less likely to.
Really?
Yeah,
Really? See,
yeah.
I feel like Sally would be like, no, Will, you could.
You need to.
I feel like if she had like an unlimited, if she had an
all right.
unlimited gift card to like a Botox place, she would love to send me in there and just go to town. I think Sally would truly like to get certified to do it and do it to people just because I think she'd enjoy doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, yeah, I just don't. I would love to spend money on all these like dumb things that probably won't work for me in the long run, but like meaning like creams that I use sparingly that aren't in my routine enough to actually work, things like that. Where I could probably just spend actual money on like doing something like Botox and actually look way better immediately rather than like hoping to look better by lazily doing a habit that I never actually implemented.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they are kind of, look at this.
That's insane. That's insane.
That's fillers.
That's insane. Good job. Good for her. She looks great.
So I like
love yourself before you do anything. Make sure you love yourself before you go get any of this surgery stuff. You're not going to fix what's inside, guys.
That also well said.
Thank
Yes,
you.
That's
Thank you.
very true.
Should we do our wish list items this week,
Let's
Barrett?
go wish list. Let's go
My
wish
list item this week is weird as hell.
Good, because mine is just boring. As
Mine's
hell.
not for me. Mine's not for me. Do you want me to lead off?
I
I'll
love
lead
that.
off.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I was talking to someone the other day and I said, one of my favorite parts of being a dad is dressing my son.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I enjoy that he likes to go in and grab stuff and he'll just hand it to me and do it. And today I've selected something absolutely fucking crazy. What I've selected today is the Cloudy Lace Kids shirt. I thought, you know what? Not just dudes like us need to be going on Ame Leon Dore and buying lace shirts.
Lace shirts,
like,
right.
Let's get some Rico shirts for the toddlers
This
out
trend
there.
is for everybody.
Like, and when I was just bored and just scrolling Bodhi, just on the site one day, just enjoying myself. And I was like, huh, they actually have essentially a Rico shirt for a baby.
Yeah, yeah.
And so while I have no intention of actually buying this for Fritz, as his birthday party has already passed and he would grow out of it by the next time, I will put this on my list because I do think it's pretty funny to have a camp collar lace shirt that my son can wear while I also go nips out.
Now, this shirt, it obviously 198 US American dollars is high for a children's piece of clothing that will last. How long do clothes last for kids around his age? Like a couple of months before they're outgrown?
A quarter seems like.
Something like
no,
that.
I think it's longer than we give it credit for overall.
Okay. All right. So I mean, but this is not it's not absolutely insane.
I'm actually surprised it was under 200.
It's in the realm.
I thought it was going to be more than
is what I'm
200 when I
saying
clicked
here.
on it.
And then, what you do is you get this thing and you have your child in it for a little bit, and then maybe you put your next child in it. And then you get it nicely put up in like a shadow box. You hang it in the rafters. You retired their jersey. It's an heirloom. It's an archival piece.
Okay.
And that's how you justify this.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is why you do not become friends with Barrett Deadly, because he will find a way to make you buy anything, even if it's a transparent, one-of-a-kind mid-century lace shirt from Bodhi for your child.
This thing best fits children. It says right here, ages 2 through 6. So it's not too late.
Such a range.
It's not. It's not too late. I know that I know that 3-year-old Fritz, man. I know he's going to want to be out here pimping.
He's only 2.
Well, for when he turns 3 though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when he's really going to start getting into the modern day clothing trends. I think they say 3 is when it really
they start hitting the mainstream.
Yeah, that's when it kicks off.
He keeps on telling me to bring back 4 pins.
Yeah. I've heard that. And so and this is, like I said, this is not. When Bodhi does lace, they don't source the fabric. It's not new. This is made from mid-century filet lace.
I would wear this.
This is vintage.
I would wear this.
This is from the 1950s. Well, Fritz needs a little 1950s filet lace on him, you know?
I haven't gotten him his birthday gift yet. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. I can't just be getting him designer shit. I already got him that ALD basketball that they gave me a discount on. I can't just be getting him other stuff. He gets one designer piece a year. That's the rule.
I think dressing your kids is definitely something like I always looked at like the catalog, the J. Crew cuts catalogs.
Oh yeah,
like, man, these kids are so damn cute.
Yeah.
And all these this little mini J. Crew. So it's definitely on my radar. But then I also feel like you have the kid, they're growing, their clothes are constantly dirty and covered in food and vomit and whatever else, and it takes like one time where they ruin their $50 J. Crew shirt where you're like, yep, it's Target for you from here on out.
You just have to understand that you're going to harshly wash everything that they own. So if like they do ruin something, it's like, well, if it's not going to get ruined by them, it's going to get ruined by all the detergent and hot water that I'm pouring through that fabric at all times.
Yeah. So
I don't think I'm going to wash this one on cold like it tells you to. I just don't think it's going to happen.
All right. So I mentioned that I lost a pair of sunglasses. I cruised by the Garrett Light store. I didn't fall in love with anything.
They have a bunch of new stuff. So like they said they were releasing a lot of new, what do you call them? Frames?
Frames. Yeah. So I popped down the street and I went into Moscot, which was a really cool store as well. And, I tried on several frames that I liked. I'm kind of sleeping on all of them. But the one that I'm adding to the list, because I did quite like two versions of this. And I thought it was a very good frame that would probably fit a lot of people. And then I'll add one more note. But first, it's called the Yontif Sun. I think the crystal would probably be the frame for me here. But this frame called Blonde, this pair of sunglasses looks very, very similar to the Jacques Marimage Fellini that I own, which is also in kind of like a yellowish frame. And it's, these are not inexpensive by any means, but they are less expensive than Jacques Marimage. So it's like it's kind of a good like high-end dupe basically for if you're looking for like a heavy acetate style sunglass, something that has a little bit of body to it, but is still kind of narrow on your face. And I might be adding these since I've lost a pair, one in, one out. That's what they say.
How confident are you bringing a pair of nice sunglasses to the Kentucky Derby?
It will not happen. No nice. I will be reordering the pair of J. Crews that I cannot find.
Yeah.
That's actually one thing that I do need to get online and order.
I think I'm going to go somewhere and try to find some inexpensive party shades where like I won't be completely devastated if something happens to them, but I can also think like, you know what? These will be fun to have all summer. These are going to be my summer 2023 shades.
Yeah, it's not that I don't trust myself with the sunglasses. It's that on days like the Derby, you just don't know what's going to happen necessarily or where you're going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're not going to have a place to put them, and you don't want to carry the case around on your body.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And then suddenly you're dropping them in your suit jacket pocket, but then you're worried that they're going to get crushed. And then, oh no, what if you take off that jacket because it gets hot at the such and such that you're at? And then like next thing you know, like somebody sat on the jacket or stole the jacket, or you forget the jacket at the bar, or there's just too many things that can go wrong.
All I do whenever I'm out with my sunglasses, I have two places I put them if I'm wearing a suit. I'll put them on the inside pocket and risk getting them crushed. I will put them on the outside pocket so that they're clearly visible to me at all times, and I can just always look down and think they're right there.
Right, and you're
Or
in the breast pocket.
Yeah. Or if I'm not wearing a tie that day, I will hang them from my shirt, and I always hang them from my shirt just so there's peak visibility and that they don't get crushed in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I've just always operated like that. I have to have them visible on my person or else I will lose track of them and I will kick myself later in life.
Yeah.
I'm excited for our post-Derby episode to find out how our fits held up and if we lost anything important while we were there. Because that's if there's one place where you risk losing something important, whether it be a pair of sunglasses, your wallet. I've lost my wallet at the Derby before. Not fun. I've lost a friend at the Derby before. Just couldn't find the guy until 3 a.m. the next day.
Yeah, that'll be a good episode. Again, keep it locked on the socials. We will be covering. I imagine that there will be a a kit pick or two
Yes.
uploaded and featured.
Yes.
So,
and for anyone that made it this long in the episode, we will be putting out some information relatively soon regarding the New York event. There's limited space, but we are going to try to get first access to listeners and dedicated listeners of the podcast. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll make sure to keep you guys in the know. Any closing thoughts, Barrett?
That's it, man. Everybody, enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend whenever you're listening to this, and we'll be back soon.
Catch you guys later.